Analysis machine. What time is it?
It's time to
Then we'd better go with case 21.
Running Calvary.
Hey guys, this is D Reaper, and today we're going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game in general. I've got a feeling we're gonna attract a fair amount of hate on this. So, to offset that, go ahead and hit us with that HBO special, if you'd be so inclined. It really does do the channel a lot of good. This data has been verified by the analysis machine. With that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I love card games. And out of all the card games I've partaken, my absolute favorite is I'm an old school duelist. I've been playing the game since back when we dueled using monsters sealed in ancient stone tablets. But I guess that's neither here nor there. One of my favorite parts of this game is the actual deck building itself. It's so exciting building a new deck because there are so many components to work with. What types of monsters, what attributes, archetypes, what strategies, spell trap ratio, aesthetic, and so much more. The way I play the game is far from conventional. I use 60 card decks, and I'll usually play with something of a theme. For example, if I have a theme of Mighty Angels, I'm not just going to toss in a card because it plays well. I'm much more likely to pick a card that's less powerful, but highlights my theme. Paul made a video about this a few years ago, and if you're watching a YouTube video about Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'm gonna assume that you already know these guys. But, nevertheless, I'll have the analysis machine leave a link to that video somewhere around here. But when I saw this, I was actually really pleased to see a well-known Yu-Gi-Oh! Player who shared my sentiment. More on that later. I know it probably doesn't seem like it, but I was actually pretty good at the game. I won several local tournaments and even an open at my university. Good times. Now, take into account that this might just be the ramblings of a relic from the past, but current Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks are kinda lame. What do you know? I'm not the Minnesota player. Alright. Rytron is best
we get
deck.
it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, good to hear. Alright, okay, chance, just give me a chance to explain. Okay, now listen. We're not here giving advice about how to win duels. That's not what this is. And I'm not claiming Yu-Gi-Oh! Is unsuccessful or in danger of going under. And of course, I'm not implying that if you disagree with anything that we're discussing here, that you're wrong. We're just having a conversation about a game that, if you clicked on this video, that we all likely enjoy. So with that in mind, take my comments for what it is. My personal opinion. I feel like the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks take the adventure out of deck building. When you have a bunch of cards that combo into themselves, there's really no reason not to use them. It's a bit sad when you consider the card variety compared to the card choice we actually see played. Sure, there are hundreds of cards that are simply unplayable, but with a card pool hovering around 15,000, you'd think we'd come across more varied decks than what you normally see. Personally, I find it a bit disappointing going to a local tournament of 30 people and seeing 20 tournament players and 5 Sword Souls. And it wouldn't be so bad if there were more variety in those decks. And true, you might get thrown for a loop once in a blue moon, but by and large, dueling one Eldritch player is pretty indistinguishable from dueling another Eldritch player. So the lack of variety can get pretty tedious, especially when it's not a particularly good matchup. I had a duel with a good friend of mine not too long ago, and though I usually get a kick out of facing his unique decks brimming with his unpredictable personality, our last bout seemed far from original, as he opted to use the latest Dino deck. And though I wouldn't say our duel was unfun by any means, I can say that by the time I fought my 6th Dino Morphia deck, I couldn't tell the difference between my buddy and another random Dinotopia player. Another problematic issue that's grown since the rise of these types of decks is a phenomenon that goes by several different names, such as bot dueling, autopilot dueling, or my favorite, zombie dueling. does not require zombie deck. This is likely a description of near half of the active Yu-Gi-Oh population at this point. People that don't actually know how to duel, they just do what the cards are supposed to do. Here's a complying example. Any season that I'm even moderately active in Master Duel, I can pretty easily waltz right into the Platinum rank. But Reaper, that's not even that impressive! That's not what I'm getting at. Remember, I run 60 card decks, and most of them have built-in weaknesses. I have no extra deck staples to speak of, and I've never run anything close to a relative archetype. The bottom line is I really shouldn't be able to get into the Platinum rank so easily. Reaper would like to say that he's just so great a duelist that the heart of the cards shows up whenever he gets in a tight spot, allowing him to snatch victories from the jaws of defeat. But the truth of the situation is we run into a whole lot of this.
Are you challenging me?
Stop!
Stop it. Get some help.
Basically, somebody told this guy, if you play Numeron, just keep hitting the attack button until you win. And apparently it was decent advice. This was a Platinum point. Jumping off that tangent, the decks of today seem to be lacking flair. What do I mean by that? Well, let me put it this way. There's a reason that Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Edition cards are still popular to this day. And archetypes like Metal Leche, Ancient Gear, Crystal Beast, and Elemental Heroes are still beloved. They have a personality. Whether these cards are linked to your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character, had a mystique that connected with you on some level, or they just hit that adorably quirky sweet spot. These decks tend to have meaning to the people that play them. With modern decks, it seems like the only reason people actually play them is because they win duels. And as soon as a stronger deck is released, they're on to bigger and better things.
I need more power.
Now, of course, if we're strictly talking competitive play, that should be more than enough reason to justify burning your former deck every few months. But besides that strict competitive mindset, I have to ask, where's the fun in that? Don't get me wrong, winning is fun. But winning doesn't equal fun. Well, at least it doesn't to me. Let's face it, if Konami printed a new card that stated, if this card is in your deck when the duel starts, place it on top of your deck. When you draw this card, unless your opponent's name is Yugioh, you win the duel. I know that there are a lot of you out there who would go out and get 3 copies. Now, I know that scenario is an extreme example, but it does segue nicely into our next topic, solitaire deck. For those of you who aren't in the know, solitaire decks get their name because for large portions of the game, it's essentially the player playing against themselves, with little or often no interaction from the other player. In these cases, an opponent might literally be waiting 10 to 15 minutes for their opponent to finish playing their cards. It's only slightly more entertaining than waiting 10 minutes for somebody to make their move and connect forth. Unfortunately, this type of non-interactive duel is commonplace for the game today.
I guess I'll go first. Alright, good luck. Bricked. Oh my god. Another brick.
Hey, that happens sometimes, man. I guess just do whatever you can.
Alright, activate terraforming, add race off.
Dude, what do you mean you bricked? Your deck is literally a 1-card combo with your field spell.
Man, the boards are so much weaker when I brick like this. Man, I only got to like 7 zone log. This is such a brick.
Dude, what are you talking about? I literally can't even play the game right now.
Well, I guess that's all I can get with this bricky hand. If you got sphere mode, I guess I scoop.
Who main decks sphere mode?
Oh, I guess you brick too, huh?
The best jokes contain a morsel of truth. And the truth here is most duels are decided before the second player ever has a chance to play their cards. And that brings us around to the title of the video. Is the duel in fact dead? Well, it depends on what exactly is a duel. Analysis machine. Could you get us a working title on what a duel actually is? A duel is a pre-arranged combat between two persons fought with deadly weapons according to an accepted code of honor and procedure. Thanks, Analysis Machine. So, the idea of a duel seems to be centered around a contest of two individuals on equal ground, where both individuals show their stuff, and in the end, the most deserving of the two is declared the victor. Now, I can see people making an argument that that is exactly what modern Yugioh is, but I have to disagree. When the main objective of the game becomes make sure your opponent doesn't get a chance to play, I personally feel like that's a format that needs restructured, and certainly not one worthy of the title Duel. But Reaper, when you're in a fight, you're not just gonna give the other person a chance to hit you. But we're not talking about a fight. We're talking about a children's card game. Look, I already know a lot of people disagree, and a lot of people like the OTK format. And I also know that there are some people who don't recall or never knew any other type of duel. And for those of you in that latter category, I recommend checking out APS's ongoing series, The Rare Hunters, where they showcase a format of dueling that I find far more interesting, albeit slower paced. Here you'll see a steady back and forth, a refreshing build-up before the boss monster fight, and even weaker monsters get some screen time, and serve a higher purpose than just being a sacrificial Yoshi. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're looking for a refreshing way to play the game. But of course, that's just my opinion. So what's yours? Did we get it right? Did we miss the mark? Well, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comment section, so we'll look forward to that. But for now, I think it's time to bring this video to a close. My name is D Reaper, and I'm a YouTuber for fun. Today's challenge? Get your game on. Good luck. Nice. We used this challenge in a previous video. Oh, well then, pass turn.